Welcome to AudioPath, where we take a real look at making a living in music.
Ever wonder what it's like to make a living in music outside of the big industry hubs? We're here to pull back the curtain with raw, unfiltered conversations about the ups, downs, and everything in between.
Join us, John Kimbrough,
And Trent Harrison,
as we share real-world insights, experiences, and stories from behind the scenes in the music industry. Whether you're an artist, audio nerd, or you just love music, we've got something for you.
this is AudioPath, where the hustle is real and the passion runs deep.
All right, welcome back to AudioPath. Trent, what are we talking about today?
I've been looking forward to this episode, something I'm excited to share with people and kind of talk about because it's very important, especially if you're just getting started. It is ways to make money in the music industry and, you know, how to go about that and basically options for
Yep.
such things. Yep.
This is the money episode.
This is the money episode. And we're going to kind of dive into, we've got a long list of potential ways that fall under the umbrella of the music industry and some of the main ways and then some of the little side quests, right?
Oh, I do love a side quest.
I know, right? They're sometimes they turn into the main quest.
They
Yeah,
do. They
they are.
have a way of doing that.
Yep,
So,
they're great.
Cool.
So, yeah. So, where should we begin?
well, Trent, I think here's what I want to do. I want to hear some of your path as far as making money in the music industry goes. Talk to
Totally.
me about where you started
Mhm.
and a little bit about kind of where you are now and everywhere in between.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, happy to do that. So, I guess the first time I really actually made money or got paid for music was gigging. It would have had to have been in a band that I was in high school. We had played around enough, done like battles of the bands, won a couple of them, and then eventually got out there and started to play legitimate gigs and got paid for it, which
Nice.
was great.
Yeah.
That would have been in, yeah, like I said, in high school era. And, you know, we weren't making much, but that was the start. So it's a cool feeling whenever you can do something that you love or that you probably would be doing anyway, but someone pays you to do it.
Oh, it's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling. So, where did it go from there? So, I guess a little caveat on that. Kept gigging throughout high school and into early college. Also, a part of the gigs was selling merch.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that as well, which is like a side income stream of a gigging musician, and usually or can end up being one of your main ones, especially in this day and age, which
Mhm.
we can get into a little bit later. But so we were making a little bit of money on ticket sales and playing the gigs, and then we were making some money on selling our CDs and what are those? And
What are those?
and merch, t-shirts and such, and stickers and whatever. So that was all good. And then that ended up going, let's see, I ended up with an internship in recording school at Green Street Club in Greensboro. And that turned into a job. I ended up staying there for about a year, and I think my role was like lighting and camera operator primarily is what I
Nice.
did. Was also kind of like a roadie and would help the bands load in and out. But I did get some live sound experience at that point, but they already had a full-time front of house engineer, so they needed me more on the lighting rig and the camera rig. So that was a great job. I really enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then ended up coming down to Wilmington and then that for business school. And then during that time, oh wait, hold on. Let me rewind a little bit here. So while I was studying recording at Guilford Tech, probably halfway through the program, had a little rehearsal space for my band at the time. It was like an office space. So all my, musical equipment was there. My band left their gear there. And they were super cool. And then I brought my computer and set up over there, and I started using that space as like the Hourglass Studios starter studio space.
The beta version.
The beta version. Yeah, reference to episode 4 on how to set up a home studio.
Oh, exactly.
Right. So we were in that realm. I was in that realm. I had a little bit more gear than what we talked about at the home studio stage because I was trying to record bands and I needed to do drums, so I needed more channels. I ended up getting like a 8-channel PreSonus like ADAT light pipe channel strip thing, basically.
Nice.
8 channels in one package. So it was pretty solid, very efficient.
Very efficient.
And so that got me going. I remember a lot of the recordings I was doing, I was trading recording time or studio time for equipment. Like,
sweet.
Bands were like, yeah, we've got this microphone. We don't really know how to use it, but we really want a record. Maybe we'll just, what do you think about that? Are you down for that? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I got 1 microphone. Now I got 2. This is perfect.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Right. Even down to like cabling. Gosh, I remember like some nice like Mogami cables came my way. I was like, I probably wouldn't never spring for these myself, but if I can just do a little trade swap for them, hey.
Get some gold-plated cables.
Yeah, that's right. And so I did that. And shout out to Mogami. They still work to this day, almost 20 years later.
I have some Mogamis and they are bulletproof.
And I still use them today.
Yeah.
So good on them. So that was cool, man. That was kind of my first, wasn't getting paid much, was doing some trades, but I was getting a lot of experience. And that was kind of the name of the game at that time. Fast forward a little bit, came down to Wilmington, like I was saying, business school, finished up that, started the real proper Hourglass Studios here in Wilmington, and started, charging for studio time and was doing the whole thing, was doing recording, editing, mixing, and mastering, and was working on my skill set, building up experience, and working with bands around town. All the while still gigging, so making a little bit of money on the side there, and then the studio was making some money, and then leaps forward, went into doing some live sound gigs, had the PA from the band, and would go out and run sound. Basically, you could rent the PA and myself for the day or whatever for the gig. I would run the show and do some live sound work.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was another thing. And then fast forward through all that, a lot of that continued to be the same, just kind of like a circle that kept coming back around between gigging, studio time, and live sound gigs for a while. And then fast forward to ultimately today, majority of my musical income is from studio gear, is from studio time, doing the same processes, recording, editing, mixing, and mastering. And then we also run Live at Ted's downtown music venue, and I do the sound down there. I mean, arguable, am I just, making money on selling drinks, or am I doing sound? I mean,
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So
Not at all.
that's kind of the long and short of it, of from where I first got paid to kind of where I am now.
Awesome,
So
dude.
just kind of scaled up from there.
Yeah.
How about yourself? You're into a lot of different things.
I am. I do I do nothing full time and everything part time.
There you go.
And I enjoy the side quests. I really do.
Yeah, those are great.
Whether I'm playing video games or living my life.
That's right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. I guess actually I remember the very first time I ever got paid to do anything with music. I was like probably 10 or 11 years old, and somebody approached my mom about having me or one of my brothers, because we all were taking piano at the time, play Christmas music for their Christmas party, like live piano Christmas music.
Nice.
I'd never done anything like that before, had literally never been paid to do anything with music. And when my mom asked me if I wanted to do it, I was like, wait, like they'll pay me money to play piano?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So, so I was like, that sounds sweet.
A star was born.
Yeah. So like literally, I remember she dropped me off at this woman's house, before any of the guests showed up, and she was like, hi, welcome. She was super nice. She was like, welcome. So glad that you're here. Here's our piano. We'd love for you just to play Christmas hymns pretty much all night, some Christmas music, some Christmas tunes. And so, yeah, I just went in there. I had this, book of of like, basic Christmas music. I had actually several books, but one of them in particular. And I just sat down at the piano and just started playing through stuff. And people would come in and out of the room and they'd like talk to me. They'd be like, "Oh my goodness, like you're so young. I can't believe you're here doing this."
So
and I'm
cute.
like, exactly. I'm like, I can't believe it either.
Yeah.
And, I was super nervous, but everybody seemed to love it and it was cool. And then the night finished and the woman came up to me and she handed me like $40 and she was like, "Thank you so much for doing this."
Nice.
And I remember taking that $40 and being like, people pay money for this.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Amazing. I know.
So that
People still think that to this day.
I know. So yeah, I basically left there and was like, that was a singular moment where I was like, I can make money for just doing what I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. And I kind of was hooked.
Yeah.
Like from that early on that feeling.
Right.
So fast forward, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff in my background as far as like making money with music. The common theme though was I graduated high school and I had been playing in like, so I'm also a classical instrumentalist as well. So like I was, playing in an orchestra. I was, in band and choir and things like that, singing with a bunch of different choirs. So, all of these steps kind of led up to, I went to college and started studying voice performance, which we've talked about this on previous episodes, so I won't really live there. But my first week of college, I was approached about taking this internship at a church in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so I took it. And so I was, my first like part-time, like steady job in music was actually as a handbell choir director.
Oh.
So yeah, and I'd played handbells like all through, like my younger years or whatever in church scenarios. So yeah, I would show up and I would sing in their choir, as a paid tenor, and then I would hop over and conduct the handbells, and I'd lead all the rehearsals and things like that. And that's kind of how that went. I did that for about a year. I didn't love that job. So when they asked if I wanted to do it again for a second year, I was like, no, I don't think I do. And then after that, I took basically as soon as that ended, I went back to my hometown, did an internship at the church I grew up at, Johnson Ferry Baptist Church, as their music and arts intern. And so was working with all that side, like the production side of things. That's really where I first started getting hands-on with production. Because I was like building out all of the slides. I was assisting on shoots and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was primarily also helping like the main worship and arts person. Well, not the main one, but like she kind of, it's a huge church. So her name is Pamela. She worked for Mark Cottingham, who was the music minister at the time. But she did a lot of their, musical theater type productions. And so I was helping her like do scripts and all kinds of stuff. There was one project where basically I was taking the music minister's solo material and like compiling it all into this one like piece of repertoire, this one book that he could easily pull stuff up in.
Cool.
So just random bits and pieces of things.
Yeah.
Did that for a whole summer. Went back to school and got a job. And this was a long-standing job, and I loved it. A church called Buell United Methodist, which is like a tiny country church, South Knoxville. They were looking for somebody to lead their choir. And so they interviewed me, and I wound up getting that job. I didn't make much money, but it was money. It was good.
Yeah.
And I did that job for about I did that job for 3 years, I guess.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
So, I'd get in my car, drive down there I guess it was like Thursday night and conduct rehearsals and then drive back and come back for Sunday mornings or whatever. And it was great. So that was really, aside from that though, it's sounding really glamorous. It really wasn't, because I had like that job. I worked at an Italian restaurant as a server at the same time.
Yeah.
I worked for the school that I went to in their like summer camp programs or whatever, like doing a ton of programming for that.
Yeah.
So just multiple things kind of all at once as far as that stuff goes, just to, make it basically like make it through school.
Certainly.
Really long story short, graduated from undergrad and took a job, another internship at a huge mega church down in Houston, Texas. So went down there, church is Tallowood Baptist, and started doing an internship down there. And honestly, like, that was probably one of the best summers of my life.
Nice.
Just a really great experience. I was finally getting to break out of, I had been in a band like on campus, but we weren't really paid. finally get to break out of my classical shell and actually like serve, like on the worship team at this large church. And there's a guy named Joel who took me under his wing, really. He was like their worship leader and helped me figure out, okay, like how to, play live with a click track and all that kind of stuff.
That's huge.
And started learning how to like mix ears, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And a little bit of front of house too. And, did a big summer camp thing with them, was also involved with their youth choir, since that was some of my background. So we took like 200, this was crazy. Like that summer I had just graduated, was way too young to be doing this, but I basically like co-led this huge choir tour to Europe.
Wow.
It was a lot.
That's awesome.
Had a blast with it though. I mean, every day I woke up and was like, I'm about to do something crazy today.
Yeah, yeah. And this is, how old do you think you were?
I would have been like 22.
22.
Yeah,
Man,
22.
Traveling Europe, that sounds like
Yeah,
an
it was a great
awesome time.
experience, man.
Yeah.
It was great. And anyway, that summer was coming to a close, and they started having conversations with me about like maybe sticking around. And obviously being a person of faith, like I spent a lot of time like praying about it and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I had, right before I moved down there, I had gotten engaged to my now wife. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to be down here. I need to go back up to Tennessee. That's like where my, future wife is already. And
Right.
like, that's just what we need to do. So
Nice.
moved back there, didn't have a plan. It was literally like, well, I'm just going to go back and figure it out.
Figure it out.
It'll be fine.
Yep.
So I moved back. I had already signed a lease on an apartment. Gave them every penny I owned pretty much. And my bank account was sitting at like $10. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then my father-in-law called me up, and I think I may have talked about this some already. And he basically was like, hey, there's this guy who's starting this church in Knoxville, and he's looking for a guy to lead the music. Like, and I think you'd be a good fit.
Okay.
So I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I wound up getting that job, and that was paying the bills for a while. But it wasn't quite enough money. I mean, it was very part-time.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from the university that I had graduated from about working for the university. So I did that. So again, just like all these kind of parallel things,
Yeah.
kind of making it work as far as music goes, until I finally graduated with my master's. So I decided to get my master's degree at the same time that I was working for the school. I graduated with my master's and had been working for this other church. I moved churches as assistant music minister, like doing the same kind of thing, like leading their band, but also like directing their choir when the music minister was out of town. And then finally moved on to Wilmington because one of my professors called me up and was like, hey, I'm talking with this church and they want a guy who like knows production, which I did at that point. Also is like very well versed in like modern instrumental music, but can do the classical music thing too. And I just think you'd be a perfect fit.
Nice.
Would you and your wife consider moving out here? And I was like, well, we can talk, long story short, we did. And so, yeah, full-time job, first full-time job of my life where I'm just doing one thing
Yeah.
at First Baptist here in Wilmington. And I was
Right.
doing that for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Of course, what I've learned about myself is I don't just do one thing.
Right.
It's just not me. So while doing that, I'm also like, gigging. I'm also like, doing some other part-time jobs, mixing for people, whatever,
Yeah.
studio and, live. And we've talked about that on a previous episode.
Right.
So then I took a job as production director at another church here in Wilmington, did that for about 2 years. And by the end of that, I had so many of these side quests going that I hit this point where I was like, I don't really think I want to keep working at this church. But what do? I've always just done church work.
Right.
And so then I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine in town, and he was like, you have so many side hustles, you probably don't need a full-time job anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've literally never thought of that. So
When the side quest becomes the main
the side quest becomes the main quest.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
So that's what I do now. I'm a full-time part-timer.
Full-time part-timer.
So
Look at that.
I'm a freelance mix engineer. I do video work. I do all the video work for this podcast.
That's right.
I do lighting. I'm a mastering engineer. I'm a studio mix engineer too, but I try to leave that to people like this guy. I really just want to master these days. That's all I want to do. I produce music for people. Just kind of a little bit of everything, man.
Yeah.
It's all kind of in there. I work in royalty distribution as well
Nice.
for a company called Production Online. And I'm also a teacher with them, which are very, like, they're totally separate. But Anyway, so that's kind of the bulk of it. Oh, and I work for Parable Media, which is a media company. I do mostly video work for them too, but I do a lot of their post-production audio.
Nice.
I manage podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean,
besides just this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
I just kind of do a little bit of everything. I'm an entrepreneurial type person.
Yep.
You and I both are.
Yep.
We share that in common, and so
Mhm.
that's it. I'm real busy, but I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of variety. And I think this is a good time to kind of like look or take a step back and look at this as like from a bird's eye view, and like everything that John just said that he does, the multiple different jobs, all of the what he's calling part-time gigs that add up to one full-time gig, is something that you need to be prepared for. Because I mean, just cutting you straight here, like the music industry is hard, and
It is.
the journey to find a career in music is not going to be the easiest path. And I think that's part of the reason why we wanted to do this podcast, is to try to give the listeners some insight of what they could be getting themselves into, and then B, to give them some sort of edge to help them along so that it is not quite as hard.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
Trying to give them a little bit of, whatever wisdom we've attained
Yeah.
over our journey, which our journey is really maybe even halfway or less there. Like we're in, I mean, we've been in it for 15, 16 plus years, but we're nowhere near done as well. And we don't know everything, but we have learned a lot over the years, and
Very
we
true.
want to share that. And so what I mean is, like, if you want to say you're just getting going in this and you want to be a mix engineer, like that's your jam. I can say that from my perspective, that probably would be my ideal gig. If I could just do that, I would be stoked, of course, we've got the venue too, and I love that, and we're going to touch a little bit on a lot of other different options. But you're probably not going to come right out of the gate just being a mix engineer and then you're the guy and then everyone goes to you to do their mixes. Like, that is not an easy job to get.
No.
You've got to have some sort of stepping stones and build your way up to that. And like I said, I'm, over 15 years into this, and I'm still not there for that. Right. So that just gives you a little bit of perspective, that like you're probably going to be doing a lot of different gigs in order to make a sustainable living doing this, to make enough to survive off of, and then work your way into the position you really want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So keep an open mind in it. Like, we've only touched on like 4 or 5 or 6 of the possibilities of ways to make music in the music, ways to make money in the music industry. But we're going to go through our list. It's long. We're not going to spend a ton of time on each one, but we're going to give some more options just to show that there is a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. There is.
And if you're willing to do multiple different things in pursuit of the goal or the path that you really want to be on, then you'll be all right.
You will be.
Yeah.
And I will say this too. Never forget that while you're on this music industry path, every single thing that you do, every single thing that you're learning, every single person that you meet is what's literally creating the next step for you. Nothing is wasted.
Right.
Everything has a purpose. And, whether you believe in a divine higher power or not, there's always a plan. There's always a purpose and a plan for that next step. At least that's the way that I've seen it.
Yeah.
And so don't feel like you're wasting your time. If you're sitting there, let me give you an example from my life. I really thought when I was working for the university, I literally thought that I was just wasting my time. I'm sitting there in Excel spreadsheets, parsing through some data, making some cold calls, just figuring it out. And I remember thinking, like, this isn't what I want to do, but I'm doing this because, like, it pays the bills and it's fine. Fast forward to, like, now, I work in royalty distribution.
Yeah.
Like I have this massive skill set of like being able to work in Excel and like parse through data, and literally there's a niche in music that is a requirement to do the job.
Right.
Royalty distribution, it's part of the job. So yeah, I couldn't do what I do now in royalty distribution work without having gone through that process of learning those hard skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and even like, you know, learning how to do a cold call.
Yep.
Basically, cold calling is just trying to make a connection with somebody right off the bat.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah.
You know, and I hated it at the time, but it informed who I am now.
Yeah.
And has given me the ability to do even more in the music industry.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, an easier, you know, simpler version of what John is saying is basically he's acquired these skills along his journey that have been able to be repurposed into more things that he does want to do.
Right.
Right. It's like the paths or the stepping stones down your path is building blocks towards your overall goal.
Right.
Right. And like he was saying, you know, he felt like he was wasting his time, but he was gaining a valuable skill that ended up coming back around doing something that he liked to do or that he wanted to do. And like all of this stuff is relative. Like that's one thing that it took me a little while to realize. And I think whenever I got my first inquiry into a commercial, I had the studio running and someone wanted to do a TV commercial, but of course they had to record the audio for the commercial, and they emailed me about it and they're like, is this something that you do? And I had to take a step back and I was like, this is not music. Like, I don't want to, why would I want to do this? This is lame. Like, I don't want to do a commercial for, you know, XYZ, like some product or something like that, or even a commercial for like an ad for like, you know, an auto body shop. Like, and I thought to myself, like, this is not what I set out to do. But what I didn't realize at the time was that it fell underneath the umbrella of my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
I had the skills to do it, and it was a potential gig that I could take. And even if I wasn't passionate about it, it would pay a little bit enough to, you know, pay the bills, keep things, make ends meet. Or, you know, if those type of gigs can end up paying more than some of the musical gigs, like the things that everyone loves and wants to do, sometimes don't pay the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then the not, you know, sexy jobs, the more mundane looking jobs like commercials or even some film or voiceover or something like that. Some people like that. No offense
Sure.
if you do, that's totally fine. But, you know, not quite music related might pay a little bit more. And then, hey, and then you get a little extra cash and you can buy that new guitar for your next musical gig that you really want, right? Like,
Yeah, totally.
it's, you got to look at it like, would I be able to do a good job for this, and is it worth doing?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's kind of what you do. And I mean, I ended up taking that gig, and I've done several commercials and several voiceovers and several audiobooks and all sorts of different things since then, you know? Anything under the audio umbrella, I will at least consider it, right?
Totally.
You know?
Yep. I hate to make it sound this way, but it is in fact work.
It is.
You
It
know,
is work.
What we
Yes.
do is it's a job.
Yeah.
And that can be tough. It can be a tough pill to swallow if you're, you know, similar to both of us. If you're an artist, if
Yeah.
you're an artistic person, there's a tendency, I think, to feel like you're selling out or something like
Yeah.
that.
Totally.
I just choose not to view it that way, man. I
Yeah.
view it as I am making a choice to fund my art.
Right.
I'm making a choice that is going to fund the next thing.
100%.
And if you view it that way, it all of a sudden becomes like way more artistic. It's weird.
Yeah.
At least for me. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to go. Here's an example. I like filmed a whole course for a driver's education school.
Okay.
Like beginning of this year.
Yeah.
You know, why did I say yes to that? I said yes to that so that I could, you know, buy a new piece of equipment that I needed to
Exactly.
do the stuff that I actually like to do.
Right. For the next upcoming gig that is what you want to do.
Right.
Right.
And it totally worked out.
See?
Like, and you just have to make those choices sometimes. It's not selling out. And if anything, it's not selling out, it's buying in to yourself.
Yeah. It's capitalizing on your skill set that you already have, right? And that you've either invested in, into education, or you've spent time learning, and now you're using it towards your career.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And along those lines too, like be a person who is willing and desires to learn.
Yeah.
That's just such a core element of this thing that we call the music industry.
It is.
It's just like, and don't fake it. If you don't know how to do something, be like, hey, I don't know how to do that, but I'm confident I can probably learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be honest about your current capabilities, but also be willing to say, I want to learn and I will do my best to learn how to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I've taken gigs before where people have asked me if I can do such and such a thing. And I may have only really understood about half of that thing.
There you go.
But there was some time in between, and I learned about everything I need to know about the thing in order to do a good job for them.
That's right.
You know? Yeah. And I think that's important if you have an open mind and, it's within your wheelhouse, then why not?
Yeah.
Go for it. It'll be a new experience if nothing else. And who knows, you might meet somebody that broadens your network and turns into other things that maybe you enjoy more.
Totally.
Right?
Everything that I do right now is because I met somebody who was like, hey, I'll keep you in mind or whatever. Or I've followed up with that person and been like, hey, I'm thinking about, doing this freelance stuff full time. Would you have work for me? It's turned into that, you know, it's about who you meet. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's really important to don't burn bridges.
Nope.
Be just a good person to be around, and just be willing. Just be open and willing to do whatever it takes.
Right, exactly. Because like we said, it's not an easy journey. It's one of those things also, like, until you kind of establish yourself, it can feel a little bit like a feast or famine kind of thing.
Sure can.
And even when you do establish, like I know from my own experience, even in current day, there are months where I'm slam jam packed busy, more business than I can even handle. And then there's other months where it kind of balances itself back down and I have a little bit more time. When you're in the kind of like gig economy, I guess, which is essentially everything that we're talking about underneath that umbrella, it can come all at once, and then you might have time where you don't have a lot of work. And in that kind of light, like, you need to be prepared for that. Budgeting is going to be very important. Savings is important. Like, you should try to put some back so that if you hit a spell where there's not that much work around, you're going to be okay because you have a little bit of a cushion, right? I mean, especially early on. Like, I think both John and I are fortunate enough now that, we have plenty of business, but it took a long time to get there,
Yeah. Cool. So we've talked about what we've done in the music industry and some of our thoughts. Why don't we move to pulling up this list that you and I have made?
Yeah.
And let's just kind of rapid fire talk through some of these different positions that are available in the music industry.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think one of the things that maybe our listeners would benefit from is just hearing some of the options. You don't just have to be a guitarist or a vocalist or whatever, or a mix engineer. You can be so many different things.
Totally.
Or you could be a lot of them at the same time.
You can be a lot of them at the same time. And all of these have obviously the common thread. They're all in the music industry, but some of them link even closer together. And we're going to try to like show you, like, if you're doing this, you can easily also do this.
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead, John.
Cool. All right. Let's just take these one at a time. This is an extensive list, but let's start at the top. A live performer.
Right. The gigs, like we were talking about back in high school, his Christmas gig when he was 11.
Yep.
That's where you start.
Yep. You can do that.
Yep.
That's part of it.
Live performance.
All right. Studio session work as a player.
Okay. So this one's hard hard to get into. I'll be honest. You're going to have to be a very proficient player to be able to get here. This is most likely not going to be where you're going to start. But it could be a very lucrative career if you're able to get to that level.
Right.
These are going to be some of your top players in your town for sure. And, another caveat, John and I, are approaching this entire podcast of the Audio Path from the perspective of a smaller town or city or, not a major hub area, showing you, the listeners, that it is possible to make a career and have an enjoyable life in the music industry in a smaller area. And so with that in mind, the session work could be more attainable. If you want to try to be a session player in Nashville, you're going to have a go of it, right? It's going to be tough.
There are a million session players in
and
Nashville.
They're all amazing. And no matter how amazing you are, the fact that you're amazing or awesome at your instrument is not probably going to be the reason you're going to get the gig.
Correct.
It's going to be from another factor, from some sort of networking thing, or that you're just a super cool guy to be around, or you just have really creative ideas. But your actual technical playability is probably not going to get you the gig because the competition is so steep.
Yeah, being an amazing player is the bar.
Yeah, that's where you start. Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Cool. All right. We've got studio session work as an engineer.
Yeah, that's what I do day in and day out, and it's great. I love that. It's also something that will take a while to get to be a consistent thing, I think, but you can start kind of right out the gate once you've worked on your chops a little bit at home, or had some experience recording your own band or yourself. If another musician on your level hears it and they like it and they want to hire you, go for it, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's got to start somewhere.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, producer.
Yeah, talk a little bit about this, John. You do this a little more often than I do.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So to me, being a producer is, here's the way I look at it. Being a producer means that you are well-versed in a bunch of these other jobs.
Yep.
Okay, so you've got to be a studio session player in your own right of something, probably.
Yep.
Although they're not always, like Rick Rubin comes to mind.
Yeah, says he hardly plays an instrument at all.
Yep. But that's abnormal.
Yeah,
I'd say that's not normal.
Yep.
You need to know the engineering side of it. More than that, you just need to be you need to have incredible ears. You need to know what what's going to work well together. Like a good producer is picking sounds because they know what needs to complement the other sounds. And it's kind of like building a puzzle. It's kind of like putting all these puzzle pieces together in a way that's going to make something cohesive.
Yeah.
But literally what you're doing, aside from the figurative stuff, you're literally just picking parts. You're saying, okay, we need a drum beat that sounds like this, and you either yourself are playing it or you're, sending it over or talking to a studio drummer.
Yeah.
Or, the drummer of a band, and you're saying, hey, try doing, like a 4 on the floor here or like whatever. So you're kind of a better analogy would be you're creating the puzzle pieces, essentially.
Yeah.
That's the work of a producer. There's been, and we could talk a lot about this, but there's been kind of a shift in producing where producers tend to be hired by artists now, which has some pros and cons to it. One of the cons is that a producer used to be the buck stopped there.
Right.
Because they were hired by a label, and it's like, we're going to make this song a hit if it's the last thing that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. At the artist's expense a lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. Kind of dark eras for artists in those days.
For sure. The benefit, though, of having a producer work with you is definitely going to be having this external ear. If you and your band have been playing these songs forever, you're used to the way that arrangement works. You're used to all of your sounds or whatever.
Yeah.
Having a third party with a really good ear that knows music backwards and forwards can really help you out a ton.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, don't get it wrong. Like, it'll still be your song at the end of the day in most accounts. And, they may change some things. But, at that point, if you're, that far along with your band, they may only be changing 20% or so, but that 20% will make a big difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's producer.
Yep. That's it. Okay, what else we got? Oh, what is this one? Song royalties?
Oh, what? I love how you wrote song royalties, LOL.
LOL, yeah.
Tell us why you did that.
Because, man, like, that's just not even real anymore, is it?
Oh, it's real, all
It's
right.
real.
It's
No,
real.
No, I wrote that because, like, it is. Artists don't make a whole lot of money on selling their recorded music anymore.
True.
It paying getting paid from streaming services is such a small fraction for artists, like even like full-time musicians that are out there gigging all the time. They have recorded music that's out there, but until you get to a certain level, it's not gonna make much of a difference on your paycheck. It's gonna be minimal. Now, it's not ever bad. I mean, anything is better than nothing, right? So, I mean, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on the better ways to look at that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say when it comes to royalties, the way that it works now is if you are not an A-list talent, if people don't know your name or whatever, quantity is your best friend.
Yeah.
The more stuff you put out, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah.
Because if you have more content, it means people will listen to more content.
Of course.
So that's it. Really, it's actually that simple.
Yeah.
Over the course of time, maybe you'll have a hit and you'll make tons of money off of it. I mean,
Right.
any A-list talent, like Sabrina Carpenter drops a song, she's going to have like millions of listeners, and so she's going to get plenty of money from that.
Exactly.
I've never dropped a song that's gotten more than 20,000 listens within the first 2 months.
Right. Yeah. I'm in the same boat. It's and Spotify works in a weird way. Maybe we'll dive back into this one. I know we talked about streaming services and releasing music in 2025 in one of the earlier episodes, but we didn't really touch on how they divide out the pay. But it's a strange way. It is not based on your streams. It's not like this 0.0000 pennies per stream is what you get. And if you just get more streams, then you get that exact quantity of money. They do it in a weird way. They do it as a pie fraction of the total. Like if it's like there's 60 million streams that happen this month, how much of those streams were your fraction of that amount, and then the total amount of the money that they allocate, that they're giving to the artist, which is the small part, is your fraction of that. Right. So that's why we say 20,000 streams sounds like a lot, and you'd think it would add up, but that's a tiny fraction compared to, because you're basically competing with Sabrina Carpenter and you're competing with J-Lo and Jay-Z and Eminem and all the other ones on the same level. Yeah. That's your competition.
It is. And it
in that way that they do it, which is crazy.
Yes. It didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
You used to have all right, somebody played your song, you're going to get 0.00018 cents. Not anymore.
No. Now it is a fraction of the overall pie, which is even harder to make money. So that's why I laughed at that.
Yep. I would say song royalties for me is just always going to be in the supplemental income category.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, yeah, cool. Thing. Maybe I got a few dollars. Whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So cool. Okay.
That's a good one.
Yep. All right. Next on the list is merch. Why don't you talk about this? Sounds like you've done some merch sales.
Yeah. Extensive.
Right.
Yeah. No, merch is great. I think coming, back to the song royalties thing, like if artists are not making a whole lot of their recorded music anymore, which used to be primary. Back in the CD era, that was a big way that they...
What are those?
Yeah, what are those? Exactly. Those little shiny discs.
Yes.
That was a big... And that fit under the merch category, and so that was a big one. But now that is not as much of a thing, I know we've talked about it a little bit before on the show, but you should probably still have some CDs, but don't invest a lot into it, just enough to kind of have something for somebody if they really want it. But... Otherwise, you're looking at T-shirts are big. T-shirts are probably king. Then, you've got other auxiliary merch, hats, stickers. Some people sell stickers. I'm in the camp that you should just give them away
I agree.
because it's almost like they don't cost that much. You can get for like 50 to 80 bucks, you can get a couple hundred stickers that are high quality. And that's such a small amount of money to worry about trying to sell them for $1,
Yeah.
You should give them away as like advertisement. Just look at it as like if someone slaps this on something, then they're advertising for me, and that's worth it
Totally.
right there.
Yep.
So, but get them. They're good merch to have. Hoodies are nice. People like that. Vinyl is the one thing that kind of bridges the gap from the old times to now because it's kind of having a resurgence, and we talked about this before too. It's a higher dollar, item, so you probably won't sell quite as many, and only, a certain percentage of people are into, vinyl. But it is coming back, and people do like to have those. So that's a good merch thing to have. That's actually your music on there, so that's great.
Literally your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's like it's a big one. Like artists are making money on the ticket sales, or guarantee in some cases, and their merch sales. That's how they're funding their tours.
Yep.
Basically.
Sweet.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Let's keep moving. Let's try to get through the rest of these tutorials. I'll talk to that one because I do a lot of that.
Yep. Go for it.
Tutorials. If you are a good teacher, if you have a gift for that, tutorials can be your best friend.
Yeah.
And you can, get online. You can connect with a platform. There are tons of them out there. And you can basically work really hard for like a few days, and then just it's out there. So basically, like film yourself, like come up with a whole curriculum, film yourself going through your whole process for something. This takes a certain level of mastery, though, and that's an important thing.
Yeah,
you need to really know what
good.
you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go into it and be like, well, this is how I mix a record, and you're like, put sausage fattener on every track.
Right.
I mean, no shade to the guys who use that. But
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So tutorials can be great though, and depending on the contract that you have with like whatever platform, they can be ongoing income, which is nice.
Yes.
So, cool. Sample packs.
Sample packs, yeah. If you're, this maybe pertains, well, this could be in any genre, but I kind of think about electronic music and hip hop whenever I think about this. But basically, like, if you are able to get some good quality sounds in a niche, then you can create a pack around that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll use, for example, like metal drums, right? Hard rock drums. If you can get some good hard rock drum tones, you could create a sample pack around that. And then that is a reoccurring product that you have to sell.
That's just passive income.
That's right. Once you get it out there, it's there, and you can just continue to sell it for anyone who's interested. There may be some, marketing that you may have to continue to put in a little bit to keep it rolling, but for the most part, as long as it's good quality stuff and there's people out there that want it, then you're good to go.
Yeah. And this could be, you could do little guitar licks.
Yep.
If you're a vocalist, you can do, vocal samples.
Yep.
I mean, sky's the limit with samples.
Yeah, it could go, you could do anything really.
Yeah.
Okay. Templates.
Yeah.
Those also kind of fit in the same sort of category. If you have a really good mix template that, this is probably something that you're not going to get into early on in your career. But if you were able to make a little name for yourself or build a little community and people like your sound a lot, then maybe your template might be sought after.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. By the time this episode comes out, I'll have a template that is out on productiononline.com for an X32 console.
See, there you go.
I literally spent 5 years building that thing.
Yeah.
It has been a long time coming.
Yep. Very popular console, obviously very specific. If you have that console or you're working on that console, check out John's template.
Yep. Templates.
Yeah.
Okay. Live sound engineering.
Yeah. John, you want to take this one?
Sure, I'll take that one.
Okay.
This is a hard one to break into, full disclosure.
Yeah.
But the best way to break into it is to just offer some sweat equity.
Yeah.
Get on with, like a local crew and just be like, hey, I will be a stagehand, like whatever. Before you can really do live engineering effectively, you need to know sound. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
hands down. You know,
we're
you need to
in-
know how to
we're
EQ.
given.
You need to know how to use compression appropriately. You know, all of that. And so you need to learn kind of on a smaller scale. You know,
Yeah.
so maybe find a local band and be like, hey, I would love to mix for you guys. You know, the next time you're playing out or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
And just get your hands on. I mean, get your hands on a lot of different consoles if you can.
Yep.
Understand, you know, how PAs work and you know, and basically just try to learn from somebody too. You know,
Definitely the best way to
that's
go.
by far the best way to do it. Is
Yeah.
like find somebody who's willing to let you just like sit there and watch them work.
Yeah.
You know,
Sometimes easier said than done.
True.
But if you can find somebody, definitely see if that's an option for you.
and I would just say start there.
Yeah.
It's a complicated craft. It's difficult to break into, but
It is.
finding one person who can teach you is key.
Yeah. I got going in it a little bit on a much smaller scale than what John's really talking about. Like I was saying earlier on with having my band's PA and getting out there and doing gigs with that PA.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a four-way into it, but you know, that was on a smaller scale. Not that it wasn't great. I enjoyed it and, you know, was able to make a little bit of money on the side there and learned a lot, got to hear some cool music, you know,
Yeah.
it was good. But yeah, it's going to take, you know, probably a networking situation or something to get you into a bigger live sound engineering job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Mhm.
And before we move on from that, and we'll just kind of rapid fire some of the last of these here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we move on from that, I will just say when it comes to live engineering, it is not a job that you need to fake it till you make it.
No, it'll
Some-
be pretty obvious.
Yep. Some of this stuff kind of is. It's like you can learn it on the fly.
Yeah.
Live engineering is not one of those things.
No.
You're gonna make mistakes.
Yep.
You know, and it's obvious if you don't know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
don't ruin your career by saying you can do something that you cannot do.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
just feel like I needed to say that.
Yeah, no, that's important to know because you can get yourself into an embarrassing situation,
Mhm.
and you won't be getting a call back, and word might spread if you really don't know what you're doing out
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So we already talked about this one, stagehand, but those are literally the people like in bigger shows that are pushing stuff onto the stage, setting
Mhm.
it up. You know,
yeah,
it's a great way to learn how everything connects together in a bigger scenario.
it is. It's a good place to start. I know
Very
a
good
lot,
place to
a
start.
lot of musicians locally here in Wilmington work at Greenfield Lake Amphitheater and the larger Live Oak Bank Amphitheater downtown, and they, they're musicians, so they had that experience to how to handle the gear, but that was about all they needed other than just being able to muscle something, and they were able to get the gig.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. We've got lighting tech and video tech.
Mhm.
You know.
Yep, kind of go sometimes hand in hand.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
I did them both at the same time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So it's pretty obvious. Lighting techs are the people who are actually like operating all of the lighting. Video techs, it's that for video.
Yeah.
Whether it's actually designing, which would be more of a lighting designer role, or it's like video teching, like actually doing all the switching between different camera angles and things like that, or being a camera operator. Both of those. Now I know some of you may be listening and you're probably like, "Oh my gosh, it's not even music," but it's to do those well, you have to understand music.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
working with a crew right now that's absolutely dynamite, one of the best crews I've worked with, and every single person in every single role, regardless of what it is a musician, like a professional level musician.
Yeah.
And it makes us great,
Right.
really great.
Yeah.
Those lighting timing,
You're
the lighting
tuned in.
timing is flawless.
Yeah.
The switching timing with the music is flawless.
Yep.
It's like,
You're like, I know a guitar solo is about to come up.
yep, yep, and
Here we
here it
go.
is.
Here's a guitar player. Yeah.
So they are musical jobs.
Yep. Mhm.
Cool. So roadie.
Roadie kind of falls back on what we were talking about with the stagehand kind of thing.
Mhm.
I guess I put this one on the list as like if you are able to link up with a band that you are on tour with them and you're their person.
Right.
Then you're kind of going on with them. You're helping them carry all their gear. You're maybe even setting it up on stage for them.
Right.
This kind of branches into the next one, which is like a guitar tech, a bass tech, or drum tech, any type of instrument tech.
Yep.
Meaning that your job is responsible to maintain that instrument,
Right.
and it's working, at its top capability.
Right.
That can also be as far as, any electronics, keyboards or guitar pedals or monitor, everything under that realm, right?
Yep. Booking agent.
Booking agent. This one's a little harder, but not necessarily. I know they're like usually start out as musicians themselves and they're booking gigs for themselves. And at least this is the way I've seen it in my perspective. And then at a certain point after they've had years and years of experience and probably have made a certain amount of contacts at a lot of different venues in an area or across a larger area, maybe they try their hand at helping some other musicians get gigs. And they basically will take a small percentage of the gig money that the artist gets for booking the gig for them.
Right.
Yep. Like a commission. Right?
Like a commission. Cool.
Yep.
Venue owner. Hey, you know something about that.
Hey, I know something about that one. Yeah, so a venue owner, also probably not something you're jumping straight into, but can be a very fulfilling and rewarding thing. Obviously, I also do the sound at the venue, so I'm kind of wearing multiple hats. I'm not just the guy in the corner that just owns the place and sits around and watches.
Right.
I'm working there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I think is more fun.
I do too, man. I would never be that type of guy, but I got to be doing something. So it's great. I get to enjoy every show or just about every show that I'm able to be there for. And it's just very fulfilling and fun. I'm doing the sound, which I love that part, but then I'm in the audience listening to the show.
Yeah.
I get to be there for all the shows. So that one's really cool too.
Amazing.
We can elaborate. That one could be its own episode, and we might have some guests in on that one as well. We might elaborate on that one a little bit further. But next we've got promoter.
Promoter is actually kind of simple. It's basically the person that gets people to the show.
That's right. Sell them tickets.
Sell the tickets.
Put the butts in the seats.
Bums in seats.
Yeah.
Bums in seats.
That's right.
That's what promoter does. I actually, here's a crazy thing. Real quick story.
Yep.
When I was in high school, for a year and a half, I went to this private high school outside of Atlanta. And I was in school with the daughter of Michael Jackson's promoter.
Oh, cool.
And so he came and talked to us and did this whole thing. And it was absolutely fascinating, but it taught me back then. I was like, I don't want to be a promoter. That sounds like way too much stress.
It can be.
There are all these minimums you have to worry about, and I'm just like, nope, don't want to do that. If that's you though, if you're like, I love the idea of getting people's name out there, getting tickets sold.
If
you make a lot of money,
yeah,
good on you. It's not me.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, let's see. Radio DJ.
Radio DJ. I don't know how to get into that.
Yeah, so I don't totally know how to get into that either, but that's obviously in the music industry, and that falls right in line. I think that one could be something that you could get into early on. At least I know we've got a pretty decent relationship with the Penguin radio station here in town through Ted's The Venue, and so I know some of the DJs over there now. I've gotten to know them over the years, and I think, you just kind of get started. I probably am not going to get this right, but there's two ways that I've kind of seen it. You start out if you do go to college and there is a radio station, a campus station, that is usually a volunteered situation and it's probably not that hard to get in on that. A good thing to do if you are at university or any type of local free public radio station. And then once you have that kind of experience, you could try to get into an actual, an FM station's radio studio. Probably will have to start low on the totem pole. Maybe you get the thing about that one is you need to be a good speaker, right? You need to be able to talk with confidence, and you need to have, of course, knowledge of music. If you're a musician yourself, then I'm sure that helps, but I know some DJs that don't play, but they are music lovers, and they know a lot about music history, and they know a lot about music. Yeah. So you can get into it that way as well. Eventually, maybe you'll get once a week slot on a station that could end up turning into you being a full-time DJ.
Yeah.
So it can happen.
That's how I think you get into it. So that makes sense.
Cool.
All right, we got show poster designer. Hey,
Yeah,
are you a graphic artist that's also a musician? This could be a good fit.
This one's a little outside of the box, right? I mean, this one is, so I know a show poster designer here in Wilmington, and he's at a lot of the bigger gigs. He gets contracted by, I want to say, the artist, or maybe their maybe their promoter guy, right?
Yeah.
To make a show poster for the shows. Of course, makes ahead of time, spreads them all throughout town, sells them at the shows, and does very well with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. It takes an artistic eye and a design, side of things, but certainly is, I mean, he's at all the concerts, so it's definitely in the music industry as well.
A big time.
And he's a player, and so I know a lot of that comes into play for him as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
What else we got?
We got concert photographer, and I think videographer could fall in that same line.
Same type of thing.
Same kind of deal.
You're doing video, but you're in the music world.
Mhm.
You're like a show photographer. You're capturing the bands. They're playing. They're rocking out. You're getting all the cool shots.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Could end up with meeting some really cool people
Yeah.
if you do a good job. You
Yeah.
get backstage passes. Like,
Right.
could be a pretty cool job.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, like all of these super cool photos are like little reels that you see or whatever of your
Yeah.
favorite artists. Somebody is taking that content.
Somebody's
Capturing it.
Yeah, and
So-
a lot of times it's not just like within the artist's crew. It's someone outside.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, we got two more. Let's get through these real quick.
You got
Retail music store.
Retail music store, pretty self-explanatory.
Mhm.
You got a store where you sell instruments. Yeah, I mean, getting into that one, you get a job there. Know a lot of people that used to work at Guitar Center when I
Yep.
lived in Greensboro.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. I mean, I don't know if that's everybody's type of like what they want to do when they talk about getting into the music industry is selling the instruments, but can still be rewarding and fulfilling you get to talk to people about playing and get to talk about if you really like gear, that's
a good choice for you.
place for you, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the last one, which would be music teacher, teaching lessons.
Teaching lessons. Now, this is a big one. I feel like a lot of the musicians, a lot of the working musicians that I know that are proficient at their instrument are also teachers. They teach private lessons. Usually, they'll have anywhere from like 5 to 15 students at any given parts of the year, and they'll teach 30-minute to an hour-long lessons each week. Maybe depends on how much full-time they want to be on the teaching side, but a lot of them use it as supplement. They'll teach a little bit during the week, they'll gig on the weekends.
Yeah. I used to do a ton of this. So I used to teach 5 to 10 students a week, and it's a lot. I mean,
It can be a lot.
It can be a lot, but the money can be really good. And
Yeah.
if you are a teacher, if you're naturally inclined toward that,
Yeah,
it's a great way to supplement whatever else you're doing.
totally.
You know, I mean, it really, really is.
And you can make a big difference. I
You
mean,
can.
you can change the course of a kid's life.
Yeah.
you
I
know?
wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it weren't for some really awesome music teachers back in the day.
See?
So,
There you go.
yeah, it can make a huge difference. And it's what my older brother does full time. He
Hey,
loves it. Shout out Kevin if you're listening.
there you go, Kev.
So, yeah. He absolutely loves it. You know, he's a band director and teaches, and it works for him.
Awesome. That's great. So, yeah, we just covered a lot of ground there, went through this list, some that we dove in a little bit deeper than others. We may come back to some of these other topics in separate episodes later on down the line. But as you can see, there's lots of opportunity out there.
Takeaway from this one should be you can make money in music.
You can. And there's lots of different ways. Strive for what you really want to do, but don't be afraid to take on a little something that's outside of, your ultimate goal to help you get there.
Totally.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so let's wrap it up, man.
All right, let's do it.
What you got going on coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah.
what you
Let's
working on?
see. I started working on producing a song for an artist. We actually recorded vocals 2 weeks ago. We're doing this one a little bit backwards.
Okay.
So we're starting with vocals and acoustic guitar. And I'm actually pretty excited about this one. It's going to be called Wings of Wax, and it's kind of like that idea of like flying too close to the sun.
Good
you know?
story.
It's
Yeah.
a great story. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. The acoustic guitar pattern is unlike anything I've ever played before.
Ooh.
And I'm actually like doing some overdubbing right now. And I'm like, I'm going to have to actually practice this. This is crazy. Like the
Yeah.
way the guy played it is like so interesting. It's a picking pattern unlike anything I've ever done before. So
Awesome.
it's kind of fun. It's kind of different.
Good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, let's see. So this week I'm going to be getting into. I'm back with the Fontanelles.
Oh, sweet.
The folky bluegrass kind of group. They've decided to add a couple more songs to the record. I know I talked about them several episodes ago. That one's still going on, and we're starting to wrap up some of the other songs. But they're like, hey, maybe we should round it out with a couple more tunes. We got this new one that we really like, and they're great. I love those guys. It's been a lot of fun working with them, so I'm excited to add a couple tunes to the overall LP. So
Perfect, man.
should
Exciting
be a,
stuff.
Should be a good week.
Nice, man. Good.
All right. Well, until next time. Oh, wait. Please like and subscribe if you like the content. If you're interested in anything we have to say, we're going to continue talking about all things audio and our journey. Like us, subscribe, leave us a comment. We'd love to talk to you. Till next time,
Steady the path.
steady the path.